यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, everybody. Dandavat pranam to all of you. Hare Krishna. Welcome to this class. Hare Krishna. Welcome to this class on Srimad Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. So let us begin. So ISKCON Seshadripuram presents Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto in 38 weeks. So we are doing the first canto. Every week we take up half of a chapter. So let us begin by offering our prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Jagannath. Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Nitai Chaitanya ki jai, परशुराम भगवान की जय, वामन देव की जय, गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, पंचतत्व की जय. This session is dedicated to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We are inspired by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, GBC Spiritual Master. Guru Maharaj ki jai. So we are going to begin this chapter today. That is Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 8, verse 1 to 26. So we'll begin that today. So second. Let us start with prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Naranarayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes of Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayati girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, the deliverer of fallen souls. His mercy turns the dumb into eloquent speakers and enables the lame to cross mountains. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter unto his lotus feet. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunath Dasa, Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhara, Srivasa and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Yevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swaminiti Namine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaura Katha Dhamadaya Nagara Grama Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. So we're going to go through this chapter today, a very wonderful chapter. So I'll just tell you what has happened so far in the previous chapter. So what has happened in the previous chapter is, the name of the previous chapter is that the son of Drona punished. So what happened so far is, that is Dronacharya's son is Ashwathama, and the war of Kurukshetra is officially over, and Dronacharya's son Ashwathama still is burning with revenge. So to take revenge, he goes inside the camp of Pandavas, and with an intention to kill all the Pandavas when they are sleeping, he cuts the throats of 5 men, and then later realizes that they are not Pandavas but their children. So he kills all of them in the night, and he cuts their heads and brings those heads to Duryodhana. Duryodhana, whose spine has been broken by Bhima, is suffering from pain. So when Duryodhana sees that 5 heads, he holds that heads and he presses it, and they are broken. So he sees that they are not the heads of Pandavas. Then he realizes that, these are the heads not of Pandavas but of the sons of Pandavas. And Duryodhana is not at all pleased by the heinous act of Ashwathama. So he's very disappointed. So Duryodhana does not approve of his act, because the only 5 people who are living that can carry the generation of the Kauravas are these 5 children who were killed. So they were around 24 years, 24, 23, 22, like that, 5 children of the Pandavas, and they were all sons of Draupadi. And Arjuna sees that this has happened, and he promises to Draupadi, who is crying in pain, in distress, in separation of her sons, that he will promise that I'll kill Ashwathama and bring his head, and you can take your ceremonial bath by standing on his head. So he captures Ashwatthama. He goes to capture, he chases Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama releases a Brahmastra. And afterwards, Arjuna also releases, and then he withdraws the Brahmastra. Then what happens? Arjuna will capture Ashwatthama like an animal, and he will drag him in front of Draupadi and say, "Now tell me, I'm ready to kill him." And then Draupadi says, "I think we should forgive him because he is the son of your guru, your teacher, Dronacharya's son. So I don't want Kripi, wife of Dronacharya, to lament like me in Putra Shoka, in lamentation for the death of son. So please leave him." So then there's a discussion that happens among the Pandavas, and they finally decide that, Arjuna decides to shave the head of Ashwatthama and leave him. So this was the story so far, right? And Ashwatthama has been left like that. So what happened? So then what happened is, just share my screen. Right. So Suta Goswami said, after the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganges with Draupadi, and the ladies walked in the front. So what has happened? The Pandavas wanted to offer oblations to their forefathers, right? So this is a very old process. It's like at least 5,000 years old and more than that. So here it is very clear that, people used to offer oblations to the forefathers, right? So this is like the ancient system of offering oblations to the forefathers, also called as Pitrupinda, right? So offering for worshipping the forefathers and giving them water after death, right? So that's what is. So in the Hindu society, what happens is people will go to any sacred river, right, when there is a death of a family, and they will pour a pot full of Ganges water for the departed soul and walk in a procession with the ladies in the front, right? So Krishna was also present along with them, right? So what happened next? So having lamented over them sufficiently and offering the Ganges water, they bathed in Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. So one important point here is that, the Ganges river is, where is the Ganges river coming from, right? Ganges purifies everybody, right? Ganges is considered to be the purest, pavitram, and it can give us purification. So where is Ganges originating from? Ganges is originating from the lotus feet of Krishna. And then what happened? Yudhishthir Maharaj, he sat along with his brothers, Gandhari, Kunti, Draupadi, and they were all overwhelmed with grief. And Lord Krishna was also there. So naturally, they are very, very much in grief. So because the battle of Kurukshetra has happened, so it's a war not between two dynasties, not between two different kingdoms, right? Not between two different enemies. Basically, it's within the family. Right? It's just within the family. There has been a war that has happened. That's the war of Kurukshetra, and they're very, very closely related cousins, Pandavas and the Kauravas. Very unfortunate event. Nobody would have foreseen that two cousins will become envious of each other, and they will go to an extent of fighting a all-out war, and they will fight in such a way that almost all the race is eliminated. So all the 100 Kauravas have died, and millions of soldiers have died. So all of them together have come here now. Yudhishthir Maharaj is there, Draupadi is there, Subhadra is there, and Dhritarashtra is there, and his wife Gandhari is also there, and all their daughter-in-laws, everybody is there, and they were all there, and they were all somehow related with each other, so they were all feeling very sad there. Then what happened? Then Lord Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those people who were shocked and affected by citing the stringent laws of the material nature. So the stringent laws of material nature are Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Means any person who has taken birth must die, and any person who dies must be born again. So this is the law of nature. There is no escaping of that. Either we can get a material body or a spiritual body, but we have to get another body. So it is depending upon us now whether we want another material body and more suffering, or we want liberation and a spiritual body, and we want to become free from these clutches of the material nature, right? So therefore, what happens is a living entity is born, and the birth of a living entity means a living entity being offered a new body. And as soon as a living entity is offered a new body, the living entity will get entangled inside the community, thinking that this is my country, this is my home, these are my children, this is my wife, this is my wealth, which is all false representation created by Maya, right? Just like, for example, if small children are playing business game, so they will be earning some money, they'll be buying some things there, right? And they will be losing money. All this is happening. But at the end of the game, there's no money. There's nothing, right? So similarly, we are also playing this kind of a game here, which is done by Maya, because at the end of the body, there is no position. So when they're at the end, when there is nothing, then why are we becoming so attached to whatever is not going to be there at the end? Finally, at the time of death, everything will be taken away, including our property, including our prized possessions. It can be your mobile phone, it can be your apartment, it can be your land, whatever you may think that it is mine. All the family relations will be cut off forcibly, right? There's no option, right? And the body itself is gone. Then what to talk about relations of the body? So everything is gone in a moment. So this is like that small children playing the game, right? So the living entities are getting entrapped by Maya. So this is the problem, right? So they were all lamenting. Therefore, Lord Krishna and all the Munis, they have given them some counsel like that, given them some transcendental knowledge that, don't lament for all this. This has to happen. This had to happen. Whether the war has happened or not, it has to happen. War is also inevitable. For a Kshatriya, dying in a war is better than dying on a bed, because Kshatriyas are warriors. So it is glorious to say that this military man has died in the war of something so and so, fighting the enemies very bravely, rather than saying this military man has died in so and so hospital, like that. Correct? So that is about the Kshatriya. So war has to happen. War is inevitable, and that is the rule. And Kshatriyas are meant to fight and protect the citizens from difficulties and uphold the religious principles and help the citizens to progress in spiritual life. That is the actual duty of the Kshatriyas. Then the clever Duryodhana and his party had actually cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthira, who had no enemy. But by the grace of the Lord, recovery was executed. And the unscrupulous kings who joined the Duryodhana were killed by him, and others also died. And the duration of life having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi. So what has happened is, The basically, it is said that, the warriors or the kshatriyas or the rulers have to give protection to 5 members. Who are these 5 members? The brahmanas, the cows, the women, the children, and the old men. These 5 people need to be given protection in a kingdom, special protection, right? Brahmanas, they maintain the varna ashrama dharma, right? The varna ashrama system of the Vedic system, they maintain it. So that is why the protection of brahmanas is important. They study the Vedic literature and they impart Vedic literature to others. So therefore their protection is of the utmost importance. The secondly, the cows need to be protected because they are giving a very wonderful form of food, that is a milk, right? This milk has so much of power that it can give us fine intelligence to understand Krishna consciousness. So this milk and milk products of the cow are so special that it can give us special intelligence, right? And protection of women is very important in the society to maintain the chastity of the society, right? To have a good generation of peace, tranquility, and progress of life, the women of the society should be very carefully protected from the, the dangerous people of the society, right? So very important to have the women protected, and children need to be protected, obviously, right? If the children are not protected from diseases, and if all the children die in a country or a society, then that gives a very, very gloomy atmosphere, right? Everybody will become morose, and they are the future, right? That the future generation should be very carefully protected, right? Their health is very important, their protection is very important, and therefore the spiritual protection, material protection, they must be very carefully protected. And the old men doesn't mean that they have become old and now we will discard them. That is absolutely wrong, right? So old men, they need to be very carefully protected, and so that they are given nice preparation before leaving their body. They are able to remember Krishna and go peacefully. So instead, if the old men are like lamenting over family issues and they're not being taken care, they're just been ignored completely by the younger generation, that is not a good thing. So here, this is the kind of a civilization called human civilization. Human civilization must be like this. But we have seen, what did Duryodhana do? Duryodhana has usurped the kingdom of Maharaj Yudhishthira. And not only that, what did he do? He has roughly handled Queen Draupadi. So they, the brothers of Duryodhana, they dragged Draupadi into the court by holding her hair, right? Her sanctified hair. Draupadi is such a chaste lady and such a great Vaishnavi, and they have dared to do such an act, so which has actually brought about death for all of them, right? So that has actually decreased their lifespan because they have touched the hair of Queen Draupadi. So then what happened is, like Lord Krishna made these Pandavas or Yudhishthira Maharaj perform 3 Ashwamedha Yajnas, right? And he did only 3 Ashwamedha Yajnas. Ashwamedha Yajnas are supposed to be like the topmost Yajnas that are possible in the Karmakanda principles. And it is recommended to be done by the Kshatriya kings, right? And it is said that, when you do this Yajna, what happens is it does purification. So what is the purpose of Yajna? Yajnarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Right? So sacrifice must be done for the sake of Lord Vishnu, or else it will cause bondage. So our Sanatana Dharma has given so many different kinds of fire sacrifices, and Ashwamedha Yajna is one of the very important fire sacrifices that has to be performed. So Lord Krishna personally, just imagine, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is personally sitting with Yudhishthira Maharaj and making him do this Ashwamedha Yajna for purification of the Kauravas or the Pandavas, right? So that's what Lord Krishna has done. And what happened? And Lord Krishna then prepared to depart. So now that the war of Kurukshetra is over, and officially whatever Krishna had to do, all the pastimes are completed, right? So Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is God, right? He descends. He is not born. We are born as living entities, but Lord Krishna, he descends. Avatara means somebody who is already there in a higher transcendental position is coming down upon his will. It is not based on some karmic reactions that he is coming down. He is coming upon his sweet will. He is coming here for performing pastimes, because many reasons are there. Because Lord Brahma and the demigods have requested Lord Krishna to come, right? And Krishna is coming to establish the religious principles, paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, and to give pleasure to all his devotees in the form of performing this wonderful superhuman pastimes, right? And Lord Krishna is now about to be leaving, and so therefore, what did Lord Krishna? All the Pandavas and the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyasadeva, they all worshipped Lord Krishna, right? So we all know, like, Vyasadeva is the author of the Vedic literature. Am I right? So he has compiled all the Vedic literature, including the 4 Vedas, and then he has written the 18 Puranas, and then he has written the Mahabharata, and he has written the Brahma Sutras. So he is the literary incarnation of Lord Krishna, right? He is the Shaktyavesha avatara of Lord Krishna. And therefore, and Vyasadeva himself is worshipping Lord Krishna, and Lord also reciprocated his greetings, right? And then what happened? And as soon as he seated himself on the chariot to drive to Dwaraka, then something happened. Then what happened? Then he saw Uttara hurrying towards him in fear, right? And who is Uttara? Uttara is the daughter-in-law of Arjuna and wife of Abhimanyu, right? Abhimanyu has died in the war. So she is a widow right now, right? And she's also pregnant. So who is in the womb of Uttara? Parikshit Maharaj is in the womb of Uttara. So if Parikshit Maharaj has to be born, if Parikshit Maharaj will be born, Srimad Bhagavatam will come. If Srimad Bhagavatam will come, we will have the opportunity to hear this Srimad Bhagavatam, and we will get an opportunity to, purify ourselves and go back to Godhead. So if Parikshit Maharaj has to be protected, right? Because he is a Mahabhagavata. He is a pure devotee of the Lord Krishna. Then Uttara came running. Then what happened? So there's a very beautiful verse. Uttara vacha pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam tvat abhayam pashye yatra mrityu parasparam. O Lord of the Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one who can save me from the clutches of death in the world of duality. Actually, when we pray to the Lord, we have to pray like this. So these are the prayers that are very important. So we should always be praying to Lord Krishna like this. We should completely depend on Krishna. So whenever there is difficulties, we must pray to Krishna. We must immediately depend on Krishna. So we must become very humble at that time, right? So in this world of duality, there is always some kind of difficulty, right? And therefore, so what has actually happened? Let us see. Oh my power, oh my Lord, you are all powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally if you so desire. But please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, oh my Lord. So what has happened? Uttara is requesting Lord Krishna. She's begging in front of Lord Krishna that, there is an arrow that is coming to abort my embryo. I can see that. If you desire, you can kill me. but please save my child in the womb. Like that, she is requesting Lord Krishna, right? So, and what did Lord Krishna do? Lord Krishna patiently heard her words, and then he could understand that Ashwathama had thrown the Brahmastra to finish the last life of Pandava. Now, Ashwathama, we can imagine how envious he is, that he wants to even finish off the last line, last hope for the Pandavas. So he has already killed the Upapandavas, and for that heinous act, even Duryodhana has condemned him, that you have done a very bad thing by killing children who are sleeping, like that, very bad. And after that, Arjuna captured him, and upon Draupadi's request, Arjuna left him by shaving his head. And now, what has he done, Ashwathama? Now, he has not stopped there. He has put a Brahmastra on a pregnant lady. Just imagine what kind of a person Ashwathama is. He's not putting on any kind of a warrior, but a Brahmastra on an embryo of a lady he has put. So he has fallen to such a poor position, right? So then what happened? Seeing the glaring Brahmastra proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons. So the Pandavas immediately became very alert, and they wanted to give protection to Uttara, right? So, but Brahmastra is not so easy, right? It is a very fine, subtle kind of an atomic weapon. So it's not so easy to counter Brahmastra, right? And it will, it is not like the modern missile, right? So it's like a guided missile. So basically, if once you set the target, it will only hit the target and nobody else. So the target has been set that, the embryo of Uttara is the target set by Ashwathama, and the Brahmastra is coming at a great speed now to come and abort that small embryo. And Parikshit Maharaj is inside the womb now. Just imagine, even when we are outside, we feel so hopeless, right? When a difficulty comes. But if you are inside the womb of a mother and such a small baby, how can such a small baby protect himself from Brahmastra, right? So what happened? The Almighty Personality of Godhead, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees who were surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshan Chakra to protect him. So, Lord Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, right? So he is like, he protects his devotees, right? And he has vowed in Bhagavad Gita, Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. Means he's telling, oh Arjuna, declare it to the world. Let everybody know that my devotee will never perish. This is my promise. You declare it. So Lord Krishna says that. He will never break his vow, that he will always protect his devotees. So therefore, what does he do? He will, so Lord Krishna, who resides in everyone's heart as the Paramatma, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. So Supreme Personality of God, what did he do? So he's already there. He doesn't have to enter into any person, because he's already has entered in everybody. He's inside you, he's inside me, he's inside the hearts of every living entity here. And therefore, he covered the embryo by his personal energy. And what happened? The Brahmastra weapon that was released by Ashwathama, which has no check or counteraction, was neutralized and fired when confronted by the strength of Lord Vishnu. So here we can see that this Brahma Jyoti or Brahma Tejas, right? Brahma Jyoti, what is Brahma Jyoti? Bhagavad Gita, it is said, right? The transcendental effulgence coming out of Lord Krishna. The entire universe is coming out of Lord Krishna, and the impersonal Brahman is coming out of Lord Krishna, right? So everything is the power of Krishna. So this Brahmastra is actually nothing, because Lord is maintaining the entire universe by a fragment of his energy. So he enters into, he just sends a fragment of his energy into this material world, and this entire material world has come into being. So that Brahmastra is actually nothing. So therefore, Suta Goswami is telling to Shaunaka Rishi and all the other rishis, do not think that this is very wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. It is by his own transcendental energy he creates, maintains, and annihilates all the material things, although he is himself unborn. So basically, it is from Lord Krishna that everything material and spiritual that has come. Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha ahamkara itiya me bhinna prakriti rashtada. All the 5 material elements, including mind, intelligence, and false ego, are but the external separated energy of Lord Krishna. So whatever you see in this material world is actually coming from Lord Krishna. And not only the matter, but the spirit soul, we are all the living entities, we are all part and parcel of Krishna, we are all coming from Krishna. Then what is this Brahmastra in front of him? So it is nothing. So then what happened? Thus saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of Lord, and her 5 sons addressed Lord Krishna as he started for the home. So here is the actual part of the today's class. So today's class is about the prayers of Kunti Maharani. Right? So the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam is that it has got numerous prayers by wonderful devotees. And Kunti Maharani is a very pure devotee and a great Vaishnavi of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she is completely surrendered soul. Right from beginning of her life to the end of her life, she was always dependent upon Lord Krishna. And she happened to be the maternal aunt of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna used to always protect her personally. She used to protect her and her family. So when it means that when we say that, her family is also included, right? Because she is very much attached to her family, right? So she always wants that she should be protected and her family should be protected. And Lord Krishna personally took up that task and he was always protecting Kunti Maharani. So the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam is all about these wonderful prayers. And Kunti Maharani's prayers is one of the best prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now we are going to hear how Kunti Maharani is going to pray to Lord Krishna, telling him to stay back for longer time, not to go, right? So this is called as Vandanam. So out of the 9 ways of devotional service, we have one of the ways is Vandanam, right? Or offering, prayers to the Lord. So this is something that we have to learn very nicely. So here we have so many wonderful verses from here on. We will hear this wonderful verses from beginning from here. I'll just share my screen here. I'll share the PPT that I prepared for that. Kuntya vacha namasye purusham tvadyam Ishwaram prakrite param alaksyam sarvabhutanam antarbahiravastitam. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of the material world. You are existing both within and without everything, yet you are invisible to all. So here, in the first line itself, Kunti Maharani is talking about the position of Lord Shri Krishna. By this, we can understand how elevated Kunti Maharani is. So, when somebody speaks, just by hearing what they say, we can understand what is the level. Right? So, the first sentence she's saying, Namasye Purusham tu Adyam. Adi Purusha. So, who is Krishna? Krishna is the original person. So there was only one person before the material creation was created. And after the annihilation of all the universes, there is only one person that is there, that is Lord Krishna. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Namasye Purusham Tvadyam. And who is Krishna? Ishwaram. Ishwaram means controller. Ishwaram Prakrite Param. So Krishna is a controller. He's not a Jiva. Ishvara and Jiva. Jivas are controlled. Ishvara is the controller. And he is the controller of the universe. And what is he? Prakrite Param. That means he is transcendental to the material nature. He does not belong to the material nature. The material nature is his byproduct. It is his separated energy. Material, this entire world which we look at with wonder is just a small fragment of his energy. Not even that, it is just that a byproduct or a separated energy of Lord Krishna. Prakrite Param. So in the first half of the poem itself, it is so clear what is the understanding of Kunti Maharani. Namasye Purusham Tvadyam Ishwaram Prakrite Param. And what is it? Alakshyam Sarvabhutanam Antarbahir Avasthitam. You are existing both within and without, yet you are all invisible to all. So she is expressing her wonder. Oh, how is it possible? Oh Lord Krishna, how did you save the embryo of Uttara? I am not able to believe it. You are existing outside also, and you are existing within and without. You are inside her, and you have saved, you have protected my grandson like this. And this is so amazing, right? That's what he's saying. And then let's go through the next verse here. Tatha paramahamsanam muninam amalatmanam bhakti yoga vidhanatham katham pashyemahi striyaha. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to read the translation, please?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
You yourself descend to propagate the transcendental science of devotional service unto the hearts of the advanced transcendentalists and mental speculators who are purified by being able to discriminate between matter and spirit. How then can we women know you perfectly? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So here, the important words are, right? Here, the important words to note here is Paramahamsanam, Muninam, Amalatmanam, and Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartham. That means Krishna descends to this material world for what purpose? To give devotional service to the advanced transcendentalists. Paramahamsa is a very elevated, topmost state of a human life. Who is a Paramahamsa? Basically, there are 4 ashramas. Brahmacharya, where that's the bachelors, right? First 25 years. Next is the Grihastha, that is next 25 years. Vanaprastha, 50 to 75. That is where a person will retire to the forest. Vanaprastha. The 4th stage, Sannyasa, where a person will give up all the familial ties and give up all the family obligations and completely depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the stage of sannyasa. Sannyasa itself is a very elevated state. And in that, again, there are 4 stages of sannyasa. 4. Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajaka, and Paramahamsa. So 4 levels in sannyasa. Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajaka, and Paramahamsa. That's like a... Kindly mute yourself. Hare Krishna. Yes. So the 4th level of sannyasa is the Paramahamsa stage. The topmost stage of a human form of life is Paramahamsa stage. And Munina means great philosophers or mental speculators. Who is Muni means every Muni will have a different opinion. They have to come up with a different system. Just like, for example, how every scientist has got their own theory. So for example, in science, we see that, one scientist will propose one theory, another scientist will cut that theory and say that is wrong. This is the right one, right? Even the economists and the scholars also, economic scholars, they will have one theory that this is the line of thought, this school of thought. And there'll be another school of thought that will say this economics is completely trash. It should be like this. Similarly, in the field of spirituality, which is Brahma Vidya, the most difficult science, right? This science is not ordinary science. This is, Krishna says, Vidyanam Brahma Vidya. Means Krishna says, among all the education, I am the knowledge of the spiritual knowledge. So spiritual knowledge is not easy. We can become an MBA or MTech or PhD, but to understand the science of soul, science of Krishna is very difficult. It's not so easy, right? So there are advanced people called Munis, right? Who are mental speculators, who come up with big theories, great theories like, Sankhya philosophy. And they come up with so much of analysis and logic, and they explain how the material world is working, etc. So there have been so many sages like that. Amalatmanam means those people who are competent to discern between spirit and matter, means they are completely liberated souls. For these people, Krishna descends to give them advancement in knowledge. Then Kunti Maharani is saying, how can we women know you perfectly? Because it said that how can, generally the point is Kunti Maharani is playing the part of an innocent woman. If you look at the life of Kunti Maharani, she was the wife of Pandu Maharaj. And at her young age itself, her husband passed away, right? And she had 5 children to take care of. And she was constantly being cornered by political motives of Dhritarashtra and his sons. And she was a very simple, innocent woman. She did not know any kind of politics, right? So anytime when Dhritarashtra was trying to poison or kill, the only thing that she did was she surrendered to Lord Krishna. And she did not even try to counter, right, any of the moves done by the Kauravas. Such a simple woman, right? Innocent woman. So women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers. But the blessing that they have is that they believe in the superiority of the Lord, and they offer obeisances without reservation. So you see, that is the greatness of the women, that they easily believe in something, right? So therefore, they also believe. So if anybody talks very nicely to them, they will just believe. They will accept, and they will not, very critically discern it or etc. So they will just, with their heart, they will just accept it. So like that. So that is the great part about the women. So here, what we have to understand is that in any kind of religious function that happens, it may be any religion, we see that, women will be very interested in religious functions. And they are very sincere in God consciousness, right? So basically, this kind of attitude is much better than showing any kind of an insincere kind of a religious show, right? So that is the greatness of the woman. And so the point here is Kunti Maharani is taking a very humble position. She's saying that, okay, women are very less intelligent. We are very less intelligent people. We don't understand. We are not so intelligent like the philosophers who write so many theories in Sanskrit. We don't understand all of that. But all I understand is that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she is telling all this in the previous verse. Already she has spoken about the position of Krishna in one verse. If you have to pick up one verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, which explains about the Krishna Tattva, you can pick up that one single verse by Kunti Maharani. So therefore, the name of this verse has been named by Srila Prabhupada as the most intelligent woman. Even though Kunti Maharani is saying I'm very less intelligent, but Srila Prabhupada said, no, Kunti Maharani is just playing the part that she is very less intelligent, but she is the most intelligent woman because she has understood Krishna thoroughly and she has surrendered to Krishna. She is a very advanced devotee, right? And the next verse is Very beautiful. Anybody wants to read this verse? It's a simple verse to read also.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Translation. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and other cowherd men of Vrindavana, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So such a beautiful verse this is, and so sweet this verse is, and so simple words, and so easy to remember, and so beautiful to sing, right? Krishnaya Vasudevaya, right? Means he's saying unto Krishna, unto Vasudeva, unto Devaki Nandana, and Nanda Gopa Kumara, Govinda, I offer my respectful obeisances. So she is remembering Krishna in various relationships, right? So basically, Kunti Maharani is related with Lord Krishna. So saying Vasudeva, Krishna, Krishnaya. Krishna is the original name of God. If you have to give one name to God, if you say which one name perfectly suits God, that name is Krishna. That is the original name of God, Krishna. Vasudeva, son of Vasudeva, right? And Devaki Nandanayacha, right? Devaki, so Devaki is the original biological mother of Lord Krishna. Devaki Nandanayacha and Nanda Gopa Kumaraya, and their adopted parents are Nanda and Yashoda. So she's remembering Krishna in various ways. In this just one single verse, she's remembering the relationship of Devaki and Vasudeva with Krishna, and also she's remembering the relationship of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Right? Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, how beautifully Krishna has performed all the pastimes in the Vrajabhumi. And so she's actually indirectly remembering the Vrajabhumi. She's remembering Vrindavan Dham. She's remembering the Vrindavan Dham, that how nicely he has performed so many beautiful pastimes. So she's remembering that. And she's telling Govindaya Namo Namaha, and Krishna in relationship with the cows, right? Go means cows or senses, right? Krishna is actually called as Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha, Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Right? Krishna is Brahmanya Devaya. So he's a protector of the Brahminical culture and the cows. So cows have intimate relationship with Lord Krishna. So when we talk about cows, we remember Krishna. Right? When we remember Krishna, we remember the cows. That's why he's called as Govinda, right? Enlivener of the cows. And we come into the next most beautiful verse. Anyone wants to read the verse and the translation?
I can do it again, Prabhuji, if no one is there.
Sure, go ahead, Mataji.
Namah Pankaja Nabhaya, Namah Pankaja Maline, Namah Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajang Graye. My respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower, who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with the lotuses. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So this is also one of the classic verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? If you actually heartfully recite this verse, you can actually see Krishna, right? So it is like, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that you can see Krishna through your ears. So how do you see Krishna? You should not attempt to see Krishna with your eyes. You should attempt to see Krishna with your ears. That is a perfect process. So in the one of the previous verses, Kunti Maharani said that even though you are present within and without, you are not visible to everybody, right? So Lord Krishna is invisible to us. So, but we can see his darshan in this verse. What this basically means is, Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline, Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. So she's starting from the lotus navel of Krishna, right? Whose abdomen is marked with a depression like a lotus flower. From the abdomen of Lord Krishna has come, from the Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu has come Brahma, Lord Brahma. Therefore, he is also called as Pankaja Nabhaya, right? Also called as Padmanabha, right? Padma or Pankaja is the same word, lotus flower. Whenever we speak about lotus flower, lotus is the symbolism of Lord Krishna, because all his limbs look like lotus. Starting from his lotus feet, it looks like his nabhi looks like a lotus. His hands are compared to lotuses. His eyes are compared to lotuses. And his face is compared to one lotus, right? So starting from the lotus navel, right? Nama Pankaja Nabhaya and Nama Pankaja Malini, and he's wearing a beautiful garland of lotuses. So when you see a beautiful garland of lotuses, it actually reminds us of Lord Krishna. It looks very beautiful, right? And Nama Pankaja Netraya. So first she started with the navel, and then she's seeing that there's a beautiful, very long lotus flower garland put on Lord Krishna. She's seeing that. And then she's seeing Nama Pankaja Netraya, and his eyes are so big and so beautiful. And Krishna is glancing at everybody, and they're looking like lotus flowers. Nama Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye, whose feet are looking like lotuses. So when we talk about feet of Krishna, we say lotus feet of Krishna, right? Therefore, so one thing here, what we have to understand is, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that actually it is not possible to see the Lord by the Dvija Bandhus or the Shudras or the women, because they are not having the intelligence of the transcendental subject matter. So that means the ordinary people are not having the knowledge of Krishna, and they cannot see Krishna, or they cannot understand Krishna because they do not have the knowledge. So for that purpose, the Archa Vigraha Seva has been established. Since we cannot see Krishna, since we do not understand the Krishna Tattva, so what has been done is the Sanatana Dharma, we have something called as the worship of the Archa Vigraha. Archa Vigraha is a transcendental form in the material elements made up of wood or earth or metal or jewel or paint or a drawing on the sand. And this, that means going to a temple. So why a temple is there? This temple worship is not idolatry. It is not idol worship. It is deity worship. So this temple, whatever Archa Vigraha that we are seeing, it is that since we are not able to see Krishna, Krishna has mercifully come in his form, in the form of the material elements, so that we can see. So he has come to accept service in the form of material elements, which we can see. So it is his mercy. So it is an incarnation of the Lord. So next time when you go to the temple, you should remember that you are in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not anything else. It's not a wooden idol. It is, the deity is non-different from Krishna. So the idea of this, the great acharyas have established all the temple worship everywhere. In the Vrindavana, there are so many temples. If you see, Ramanujacharya established 108 Divyadesham temples, so many temples all over the south, north, everywhere he has established the temples. What is the purpose? Purpose is that, since that, the less intelligent people who do not know the Krishna consciousness or who do not know the Krishna Tattva, they should not act that they know that, sometimes some people just casually say, if God is there everywhere, why should I go to the temple? God is there everywhere, that's right, but have you realized that? You have not realized that, right? We are not at that stage where we have actually realized that God is there everywhere, nor are we at a position that we are able to see his presence or feel his presence everywhere at the moment. So therefore, nobody should try to act as if they've transcended to the level of a pure devotee, but we should follow these principles set out by the acharyas, right? And another important thing is, when you go to a temple, how do you take darshan? When you take darshan, you should not directly look at the face of the Lord. So the way to look at the darshan of the Lord is, first you must start with the lotus feet. That is a process. Start with the lotus feet and slowly start raising your eyes, and then see his thighs, then his waist and his chest, his hands, his neck, and then his face. This is the way of seeing Krishna. So, but here you see, Kunti Maharani did not start with Namaste Pankajangraye. She didn't start with the lotus feet. Why didn't she start with the lotus feet? She started from the navel, because since she is the maternal aunt of Lord Krishna, if she starts with the feet of Lord Krishna, Krishna will feel embarrassed, because at least in the material relationship, Kunti Maharani is the aunt, so she's elder, right? If she starts from the feet, he will feel embarrassed that, somebody elder is talking about my feet now. So that's why she starts out of etiquette. So she starts from the navel, and then she talks about the lotus garland, and then she speaks about the lotus face, and then she speaks about the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So that's how it is. Next verse we will see. Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanat Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichrataha Mrudhe Neka Maharathastro Draunyastratas Chasma Hare Bhirakshitaha. So that's one tune. Another tune that we can sing is Vishan Mahagne Purushada Darshanat Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichrataha Mrudhe Neka Maharathastrato Draunyastratascha Hare Bhirakshataha. Anybody wants to read the translation? Hare Krishna.
I'll read since Mohammed is also.
Yes, ma'am.
My dear Krishna, your Lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is also a very wonderful way of praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when you pray to the Lord, you please try to remember what all difficulties you have faced in your life. Okay, maybe we can list down. Whole world is crashing today. I mean, there's nothing that I can do about it today. I'm finished. So this is how we should pray. I mean, we should say, when I was facing this difficult situation, you saved me. When I was facing this problem, and there was nobody to rescue me, and there was no hope in visibility, and I thought everything is over, then you saved me. Like that, we should remember Lord. So this is how we should, feelingly, we should pray to the Lord. So here she's remembering all the difficulties that she underwent and her family underwent. What are the difficulties? So from a poisoned cake, right? Bhima was administered poison in the cake, right? Bhima is the second son of Kunti Maharani, right? Kunti's biological children are Yudhishthir Maharaj, Bhima, and Arjuna. Nakula and Sahadeva are the Madri, another wife, right? So Bhima was administered poison when he was such a young boy. He was given poison by Duryodhana. So that time he was saved. The second time they were saved as Purushada Darshanat. Now they had to fight a cannibal, right? They had to fight with one Rakshasa called Hidimba. He was a man-eater. And Bhima had to fight with him, and Lord saved him then. And it was not finished there. Asat Sabhaya. I mean, what kind of assembly is that? Where people want to see a woman naked. And she's not an ordinary woman. She's the queen. She's the queen of the Pandavas. Pandavas, she's supposed to be the queen, such a chaste lady, such a great Vaishnavi. and these Kauravas have fallen to such a level that they want to see her naked. Asat Sabaya, right? They want to see that. So such a worst thing, and nobody was able to actually protest. Nobody was protesting even in the Sabha, in that assembly. Nobody was even protesting that this is wrong. And Pandavas were completely helpless. They had lost the match of dice. And then Dushyasana dragged Draupadi into the court. And then he actually started disrobing her by, disrobing her sari. And that time, Draupadi will just surrender to Lord Krishna. And she will just raise her hands and she will just say, surrender to Krishna. And Krishna will supply unlimited supply of cloth. And Dushyasana gets tired after, pulling that unlimited amount of cloth. He completely becomes tired and he just gives it up. So it was such a difficult situation. And Vanavasa Krichritaha. And when they were in the exile, they had to go through so many difficulties in the forest. And ultimately, they had to fight the Kurukshetra war. It was such a difficult war. Right? 7 Akshauhini Sena on the Pandavas, 11 on the Kauravas. 7:11. How is it possible? For victory, you need 11:7. Majority should be on your side. Minority on the other side, then you will win. Where was the possibility? And it was so difficult. It was like a big ocean. And there were great commanders like Drona, Karna, and Bhishma, whom these Pandavas had to fight. These Pandavas are junior people. They are just learned from Drona and Bhishma. How can they face these people? Right? Such a difficult situation, right? And ultimately now, as if it's not enough, Ashwatthama has put Brahmastra on the only descendant of Pandavas to kill that Parikshit Maharaj. He has put Brahmastra and Lord Krishna saved. So, and now what is Kunti Maharani saying? Okay, what would we say? If we were to say, so, okay, enough. I had enough of difficulties in my life. Now I just want to go back to God. I don't want any more difficulties. Oh dear Krishna, please stop these difficulties. How much will you torture me? She didn't say that. What did she say? Vipada santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunar bhava darshanam. Anybody who has not read yet would like to try this verse?
I'll
Hare
read
Krishna,
it, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, one of you, please. Yeah.
Later.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, Sumatra Mataji, please go ahead if you want.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. I wish that all these calamities would. Arey bole chala gaya. One second.
No problem.
Calamities would happen again and again so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated birth and death.
Hare Krishna. So,
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
this is a very wonderful verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. If somebody were to ask you what is so special about Srimad Bhagavatam, what is so special about devotional service to Krishna, why should we worship Krishna, what is so special about the devotees, you tell them this verse. And ask them that, is there any verse in the entire universe written by any devotee who asks for difficulties? So that is devotional service to Krishna. And that is the knowledge that Kunti Maharani is having. And she's saying, we'll try to understand, first of all, why is she asking for calamities? Let there be calamities. She's saying, I want more calamities. I want more calamities. Vipada santuta shashvat. Right? Why? I want repeated calamities. Because whenever there is a calamity, there is a problem, there is a difficulty, what happens? Just try to recollect. When was the last time you were very much absorbed in Krishna consciousness? Was it when everything was all right? Or when everything was not all right? When do we become absorbed in Krishna consciousness? What do you think?
Generally, when we are in some kind of suffering, we remember Lord Krishna.
Absolutely. So when we are in suffering, we'll remember Krishna. And depending upon the proportion of suffering that we have, so much we'll surrender to Krishna. So the more the suffering, the more we will shout, right? So if we are completely gone, there's nothing, then we'll be like completely surrendered and completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. That time we will really shout out to Krishna like a small child. How a small child cries for milk, like that we'll start crying. But Krishna save me. Just like how just now we saw Uttara, how she was crying. Right? We saw in the previous chapter how Arjuna was crying when Brahmastra was put on him. He says, Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho. And he starts crying that, Krishna, Brahmastra is come on me. Like that. Now, Uttara, we saw how she was surrendering to Krishna. If you want to kill me, it's okay, but please protect my womb. Like that. So when we have difficulties, that's when we become actually more absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Right? So she's saying, whenever I had difficulties, you had come personally and I could see your lotus feet. And bhavato darshanam yat syat apunar bhava darshanam. So seeing your lotus feet means no more birth and death. So this is the knowledge that Kunti Maharani has. She's such an advanced devotee. She knows that, if we worship Lord Krishna, if we see his deity form and worship him, chant his names, there will be no more birth and death. So that is why I want sufferings, because she knows that these calamities and sufferings are all temporary. They don't mean anything. But when there are difficulties, we grow. In Krishna consciousness, we see that, whenever we are advancing in Krishna consciousness, we get more and more difficulties. So my Guru Maharaj, Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, he says that, when you're advancing in devotional service, you actually get more difficulties. So these difficulties are meant to, they're given by Lord to make you absorbed in Krishna. They're kind of a test for us, like how absorbed we are, how much we are not able to, we are actually fixed up in Krishna consciousness without moving. So these tests will keep coming. And we should not be scared of such tests, but we should take up the mood of Kunti Maharani and say, let there be difficulties, we will face it. Because we will remember you. And if we remember you, we'll come back to Godhead. We'll go back to Godhead. So last verse for today. This is also one of the best verses. Anybody wants to read the verse? Anybody who has not read it so far?
I'll read if no one's read.
Sure, Mataji. Go ahead, please.
Janmaishwarya Shruta Shripir Idhamana Madha Puman Naivarhati Abhidatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you.
So here it says, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribhir. So there are 5 things that I said. Janma means great birth. Aishwarya means opulence. Shruta means education. Shribhi means beauty. So when someone has all these things, what happens? When somebody is born, let us say, in the family of a great personality, like let's say somebody is maybe son of a great industrialist, or son of a great freedom fighter, or son of a great musician, or a very great celebrity, film actor, or the chief minister or the prime minister, they will become very proud, right? Or when they are born in the family of very righteous people, or in the family of Brahmanas, they become very proud. Right? That's called Janma, Mada. Then Aishwarya, opulence. When someone is very rich, very, very rich, then they will not care for anybody. Shruta, education. Somebody very educated, for example, studied in IIT and PhDs, IIMs, big education, Princeton University, Harvard University, studied in big universities. They will not care for anybody. So because they have got education, Shruta. Shribhi, position of beauty. So all like for example, all the beautiful models or the heroes and actors and actresses, or even the ordinary people who are very beautiful, who know that they are very beautiful, they're getting the attention, what happens to them? Yedhamana madah kumar. They become very intoxicated with their opulences that Krishna has given them, right? And then what happens to them? Naivarhatya abhidhatum vai, means they cannot approach Lord Krishna with a sincere feeling. Tvam akinchana gochar. Akinchana means materially exhausted person, someone who is completely exhausted. So somebody who is not having any of this, somebody who's feeling that, at least who feels that, oh Lord, I'm born in such a low family and I don't have any money at all, and nor am I educated, right? Nor I have any money, or I'm completely nothing. I'm not even beautiful. So there's nothing that I have actually. My position is nothing. My only wealth is you. So this person can actually sincerely go to Krishna. Tvam akinchana gocharam. Krishna can be approached by akinchanas. Akinchana means completely materially exhausted. So therefore, we should maintain a very humble demeanor when we are approaching Krishna. Therefore, the verse of Shikshashtakam, Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadaharihi, is very much relevant. Right? We must think of ourselves as lower than a blade of grass on the street. That is how we should think about ourselves. So with this feeling, if you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, there will be tears in your eyes. When you are absorbed in Krishna consciousness, then your hair will stand on the end. Right? So that's what about today's class. And the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam we are seeing. It's a literary incarnation of God, compiled by the incarnation of God, meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. So Srila Prabhupada says, where is such a book in the world? This is so perfect. Every line has been written for the ultimate good of the human society. Where is such a book in the entire world like Srimad Bhagavatam? Right? So we saw that, and so you can actually invite Krishna to your home by associating with Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhadra Purnima is approaching, and very auspicious time to invite Krishna to home. So get this Bhagavatam set and you will become very transcendental. Listen to Srimad Bhagavatam daily and you'll become very peaceful, you'll become very happy, and Krishna will come and reside in your heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everybody. Thank you so much for joining for today's class.
Thank you for a very good class, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat.
Dandavat pranam, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you for
Hare
joining.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you for the class.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, devotees, for joining.
Hare Krishna.